Good afternoon, and welcome to the February 10th meeting of the Rotary Club of Louisville. Please stand. I'm Jean West, owner of Faces West Productions, a Paul Harris Fellow, and president of our club. We are once again honored to be the platform from which the mayor delivers his annual State of the City address. Our club, the oldest in Kentucky, the 14th largest in the world, was chartered in 1912, 110 years ago. We hold weekly meetings where we together cite the Pledge of Allegiance, pray an invocation, and repeat our four-way test, which you will hear. I am proud to stand here as the fourth woman to lead this club and the first African-American elected president. We have over 320 extraordinary members who work together to promote peace, fight disease, provide clean water, support education, and more. We welcome diverse candidates for membership and are excited to announce that we are currently offering a free 3-month membership to minority business owners. We have a full program today, and our meeting may run just a bit longer, so if you need to leave right at 1 o'clock, please do so quietly. Now, at this time, I'd like to welcome Rotarian Judd Hendricks, Executive Director of Interfaith Paths to Peace, to deliver our invocation.
I appreciate the word invocation. The word means to invite or wake up to the presence that connects us all. And that presence does not need to be invoked because it is already and always here with us, among us, and between us. Instead, our awareness is what needs to be evoked to its presence. So, I invite you to take a moment to connect to that presence, to connect to your own breath, to connect to your own body, to connect to those around you that the presence lives in, flows between. I invite you to open your heart to that presence that we call by many names. With awareness of that presence, I invite you in silence to offer prayers of thanksgiving. What in your life are you most grateful for? I invite you to offer thanks for the food that we are receiving, for those who have grown it, brought it to us, prepared it, and serve it. I now ask you to open your hearts and offer your prayers for our mayor, his family, the Metro staff, and all employees. And now feel your awareness extend beyond this room to include the whole of our city. The presence is there. We especially hold in our hearts and offer prayers for those, for whatever reason, are suffering today. And finally, we come back here and now and offer up this gathering and our very lives to be of service to this presence, to the common good, and to the healing of our city. Amen, and may it be so. Thank you. And it's often a tradition in different cultures, before we ever sit down for a common meal, we pass the peace with one another so that we enter into the meal as one. So in 15 seconds, turn and pass the peace. Peace be with you, and the response is also with you. Peace be with you.
And peace be with you all. And now, to lead us in the pledge and four-way test is Rotary Vice President Ken Grossman, owner of Executive Image Custom Clothier and a Paul Harris Fellow.
Thank you, President Jean. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And join me in the four-way test, which is behind me here. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it bring goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
You may be seated. Now, please welcome from the Kentucky Opera, Marquita Richardson to sing our national anthem, accompanied by Johanna Kavom on piano.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Outstanding, and our thanks to Rotarian Barbara Lynn Jamison for arranging such beautiful music. We have many guests today. We thank you all for coming. We don't have time to introduce you all. We do want to say that next week, I want to introduce the guests at my table. However, I can do that because I'm president. So we have, you heard our performers here, the mayor's wife, Dr. Alexandra Gerasimides, Louisville's first lady, Marilyn Jackson, who is the new CEO of the Muhammad Ali Center, new to town, Marilyn. Welcome to Louisville. Thank you. Laura Douglas, who is the immediate past interim director of the Muhammad Ali Center and a board member, and we welcome you all. Thank you. Next Thursday's lunch meeting at Savor on River Road will feature guest speaker Nate Morris, chairman and CEO of Rubicon, a certified B Corporation and a pioneer in the use of software to advance critical waste and recycling objectives via its network across 20 countries. He was the first Kentuckian to be named to Fortune magazine's 40 Under 40 list. And to kick off Mardi Gras with Rotary, help us fund more service projects with our first annual Mardi Gras mask, get it, parade on Thursday. It's really not misspelled. February 24th from 6 to 9 at the famous family-owned Barrett Bar and Grill, the oldest establishment on Barrett Avenue in the Highlands. Flyers are on your table. Get ahead of the crowd. Register now. Contact our Executive Director, Delene Taylor, at rotary45.org to learn more about membership and upcoming events. Rotary celebrates people of action who are committed to service and whose lives mirror Rotary's values. It is my honor to present the 2022 Rotary Club of Louisville Service Above Self Award to Benjamin Keith Richmond, who has dedicated his life to supporting and enriching his community. Let's now hear a message from Louisville Urban League President Tadiqua Reynolds, who was unfortunately not able to be here today.
Ben Richmond, thank you so much for 29 years of labor for this community. I am here because of the work that you have done, because you made space for me. And I remember after my first year as president and CEO of the Louisville Urban League, there were so many people who came to me and said, you know, you really should be more like Ben Richmond. And that was interesting. But what was more interesting was what you said to me, unprompted. You said, you are doing the work that needs to be done. This is the time. Stay true to yourself. And Ben, I love you for that advice. I thank you so much for everything that you have sacrificed for this community and for your constant support of me in this role. You will never know what you mean to Louisville, and you deserve every honor. Thank you for fighting. Keep fighting, keep going. The Louisville Urban League loves you. The Urban League movement loves you. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Please join me in congratulating Ben Richmond.
Wow. I did not expect that. Jean just said, come by and just be here. Thank you very much, Rotary, for this recognition. It's awesome. I've been a Rotarian ever since I became an urban leaguer back in 1982, and I believe firmly in Rotary and service above self. And I feel very optimistic about our community. Mr. Mayor, thank you for the role that you have given. I thank the Urban League for giving me the platform that I could do things I never thought I could do. It's a great organization. And if you are not a member, join the Urban League. Thank you very much.
Greg Fischer was elected Louisville's 50th mayor in 2010 and was sworn in for a third four-year term on January 5th, 2019. Under his leadership, Louisville has seen more than $20 billion in capital investment, including 2 new bridges, 3 new regional libraries, a soccer stadium, a new West Louisville track, dozens of new hotels, the launch of Bourbonism, and the Evolve 502 Promise Scholarship that ensures every public high school graduate has an opportunity for higher learning. That's one of the many educational projects that the Rotary Club of Louisville was instrumental in developing. Mayor Fischer was elected by the Mayors of America to be president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors in 2020 and serves as the immediate past president. The mayor is a graduate of Trinity High School and Vanderbilt University, married to Dr. Alexandra Gerasimides, the daughter of Greek immigrants who were uprooted during the Greek Civil War. The couple have 4 adult children and 1 granddaughter and one granddaughter. Everybody's got grandkids but me. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Greg Fischer to the Rotary of Louisville stage.
Thank you, everybody. Well, I'm certainly honored to be with you all today to deliver my final State of the City address. It's a little surreal, Ashley, but here we go. I want to thank David Beck for hosting us at the beautiful Kentucky International Convention Center. We in the city worked hand in hand with the state and Louisville Tourism to invest $207 million here to grow our convention and tourism success. It's beautiful. Thanks to the Rotary Club for hosting this event and showing what true service is through Promise Scholarships, a mentoring program, and your wisdom in choosing Gene West as the first Black Louisvillian to lead this organization. Good job, Gene. Thanks also for your really righteous recognition of Ben Richmond. He's a real advocate for justice in our community, a long fighter for civil and human rights, and a dear friend. You're a good man, Ben. I want to thank my family for always standing by me, and I'm really happy to be joined today by my wife, Alex, my son, George, parents, Mary Lee and George, and my sister, Lynn. From family, I'll give it up for them, sure. From my family, just like you all, I'm sure I learned some foundational lessons. From my mother, the importance of always helping others. And from my dad, to treat everyone equitably and always be positive. From my wife and her family, the passion of immigrants to pursue the American dream. And from my children, my beautiful granddaughter and grandchildren to be, the optimism that anything is possible. And from my sister, determination and unconditional support throughout my life. Thank you, guys. Family, family. Now, the first time I spoke to you all as mayor, 11 years ago, I outlined 3 city values to guide our work: lifelong learning, health, and compassion. And I spoke of one city, one community, one family. Because we are the city of Thomas Merton's epiphany, each of us shining like the sun, belonging to each other, our individual success dependent on our collective success. And so it is with cities. We're in this together, and together we have done so much. First, the city looks really different from when I took office 11 years ago. You can start here and look outside. Since 2014, $21 billion has been invested in our built environment. That includes a new vibrant walking bridge and 2 new bridges with 32 million vehicle crossings last year. Their very existence is emblematic of our progress after the project had stalled for 40 years. Our city footprint now includes a world-class soccer stadium, an energized Whiskey Row, and over 100 new hotels, 15 of them downtown. By the end of our term, our public works team will have repaved 2,000 miles of roads, 88 miles of bike and scooter-related lanes, and 350,000 feet of ADA-compliant sidewalks. The long-awaited transformation of Dixie Highway is finished. Colonial Gardens has been restored as the go-to place for business lunches, date nights, and family meals by Iroquois Park. And recognizing that libraries are central to lifelong learning and community connections, we built 3 new regional libraries, a new branch in Middletown, and renovated branches in St. Matthews, Iroquois, Bon Air, Shawnee, and Shively. We conducted the country's first ever urban heat island study and helped launch Trees Louisville, Henry, which is well on its way to creating 45% tree canopy coverage by 2050. Our park system has seen wonderful growth. Since 2011, we've increased the Louisville Loop by 50%, added a public boat ramp in Shawnee Park, built or modernized 12 spray grounds, built 26 new playgrounds, and remodeled the Iroquois Overlook. Racial equity, it's been a driver of our work since day one. That's why, well before many other cities, we took down racially offensive statues, a Confederate statue, the Castleman statue, and the Prentice statue. Because if a statue is not welcome in all neighborhoods, it should not stand in any public place of honor. That equity lens is also why over $1.2 billion of new capital investment has been made in West Louisville. My team won a $29 million federal grant, which we've leveraged to create over $250 million to completely redevelop the Beecher Terrace area. The Russell Place of Promise project models how to regenerate neighborhoods without displacing residents by gathering input at 200-plus community meetings, and it's powered by the stalwart determination of people like Jackie Floyd. We now have the new Norton Healthcare Sports and Learning Center, developed by the Louisville Urban League. Metro donated the land and was the lead investor, providing the first $10 million. We contributed a separate $10 million as the lead investor for the West End Opportunity Partnership. And soon we will break ground on Waterfront Park Phase 4, a 22-acre expansion connecting downtown and West Louisville along our beautiful waterfront. All of this work, it grows the character of our neighborhoods, including those that have seen dramatic growth since I took office, like Nulu, Butchertown, Russell, Shelby Park, Beachmont, Fern Creek, and many others. And the changes to our neighborhoods haven't just been bridges, libraries, and roads. Think about what the lack of a home does to someone trying to hold down a job, get kids to school, stay safe from COVID. Home is central to every family, and the lack of one is an unconscionable obstacle. And that's why we've invested record amounts in affordable housing, $106 million since 2014, creating or preserving 5,000 home units. Metro Council was a true partner on this effort, and none more so than their champion in this work, Bill Hollander. Thank you, Bill. And I also want to thank the Rotary for your all's groundbreaking work to improve access to capital for the first-time home buyers in West Louisville, with a goal of raising $5 million for this important effort. Now, to address the historic injustice of redlining, by the end of this year, we will have helped 500 low-income residents build wealth through the down payment assistance program, and almost 3,000 existing homeowners make critical repairs so they can maintain homeownership. We use $96 million in federal and state COVID relief funds for eviction prevention, and we're recognized by the White House as among the best cities in the nation to do so. We're also using $40 million from the American Rescue Plan to mitigate homelessness. And to help address vacant and abandoned properties, we've gotten 6 state laws changed, sold 675 properties, foreclosed on more than 1,000 homes, and demolished 954 vacant and abandoned structures. We did all the aforementioned work on our built environment, on housing, on the very architecture we see around us. Because as Nigerian architect Mariam Kamara said, architecture is the stage on which we live our lives. And that's what this is all about. Investing in the stage is important, but investing in the people on the stage is even more critical. So we got to work. Remember how good it felt for you to earn your own money from your first job, have cash in your pocket? When I took office, the federal government had just dropped funding for summer youth programs. So we created Summer Works. In our first year, we employed 200 kids, and over its lifetime, Summer Works has placed 23,000 youth in summer jobs with 240 employers. Let's watch.
My name's Joshua Jose, and I am a co-op here at GE Appliances Hire, and I'm working with the Advanced Manufacturing Engineering team. My duties are to essentially diagnose some of the problems on the line and see how we can fix them. My introduction to SummerWorks was actually through a friend of my mom's. Yeah, I applied and I got the job, and for the next 9 weeks, I was working as a manufacturing team member here on the line. I think it's great for our city leaders and Mayor Greg Fischer to really invest in our youth. For any businesses that might be interested in joining the SummerWorks program, I would say it's great because you get to build professional relationships with talented youth, and they can make a meaningful impact on your business. And I'm extremely grateful to be here and to SummerWorks for really feeding me into the supply chain co-op program, because I really got a unique experience that I don't think a lot of other people have. It really taught me the value of hard work. All the engineers that I've met are brilliant, and they're really hardworking people. And it's really an honor to work with them and learn from them. So I'm really appreciative of this opportunity.
So the data shows that SummerWorks youth are more likely to graduate high school, go to college, and find employment. It's a great investment. Now, we also created the Cultural Pass to close the opportunity gap and stop summer learning melt by bringing children to places of learning, culture, and stimulation. Now, once upon a time, a young girl visited an exhibit about the human body. It inspired her, and she said, "I want to be a doctor someday." And she became Dr. Alexandra Gerasimides and my wife. So that museum changed her life, and it certainly changed mine as well. And the 260,000 cultural passes we have distributed have changed countless lives, inspiring future scientists, future artists, and yes, more future doctors. We also worked with JCPS and the University of Virginia to launch the groundbreaking Compassionate Schools Project. 45 elementary schools are teaching 20,000 students about empathy, love, and compassion for their fellow human beings and accelerate their learning. When I took office, community partners were working to increase the number of residents with college degrees. 55,000 degrees was a great success, led by Mary Gwen Wheeler, seeing a 22% increase in degree attainment. But too many cannot afford higher education, and we know that post-secondary education is the #1 disruptor of poverty. So our community created Evolve 502 and a college promise scholarship for JCPS graduates. I decided to run for a third term as mayor, in large part to make those scholarships a reality. Since then, Evolve 502 has raised $22 million, including $3 million from Metro government. With that, there is enough scholarship funding for all current JCPS 8th through 12th graders. Let's watch.
My name is David Oliver. I am a freshman here at Simmons College of Kentucky. I'm currently in the marching band. I'm here to get my degree in music, hopefully transfer to UofL my junior year and finish out and get my bachelor's degree. My dream is mainly to become a police officer. That's like my #1 goal, but with my music degree, I hope to travel the world, play music in exotic lands. It's always been my dream of mine. Kids like me, nobody goes to college unless it's off a sports scholarship. Where I come from, college is okay, but I know a lot of people that go, but they never finish because of money issues. I was just playing baseball, going to work, but then when my mom told me about this, I'm like, oh, because that day, I never forget it, was February 18th, 2021. I was like, oh, I'm going to college. What the mayor did with his partners, they all came together. I'm very proud that they did that. You know, for me to go to college, they care. They really, really care. They want to see you succeed. I'm doing really well. I got a 3.7 GPA last semester. The Evolve 502 scholarship has opened a huge door in my life. The Evolve 502 scholarship has given me a better starting point than any other scholarship or school can ever do.
So I urge all of you all to contribute so that we can create even more Promise Scholars like Rotary has for Western and Iroquois high school students. Code Louisville is another great example of our commitment to lifelong learning, placing 680 graduates into higher paying tech jobs. We've accelerated that mission with the Future of Work initiative, building equitable pathways into data economy jobs in artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and data science. Since small businesses are the backbone of any city's economy, we've made $55 million in loans and grants to over 1,200 businesses to help them prosper and for some to simply survive through the pandemic. Now, every great city must have a year-round hospitality and tourism attraction. And before I was mayor, I often wondered, why didn't we promote our bourbon and local food scene more? So with partners across the community, we created Bourbonism, with Louisville as the trailhead, fueled by $262 million of investments and 10 new distillery and bourbon experiences and wonderful culinary additions.
I'm Peggy No Stevens, president of Peggy No Stevens and Associates, and I'm also a master bourbon taster. I was the founder of the Bourbon Women Association, but more than anything, I'm proud to be a Louisvillian. When someone says, what does a master bourbon taster do? The first thing I tell them is it takes a lot of practice, and that's a good thing for me. But at the same time, it's really just appreciating the rich culture and heritage and agriculture that goes into making our fine spirit. Looking back and working in hospitality and tourism and bourbon for the last 30 years, the last 10 years probably have been our most successful. And I really give credit to so many different agencies and associations like the Kentucky Distillers Association, the different distilleries that are here that wanted to grow the business of tourism, but also Mayor Fischer for creating the term bourbonism and really bringing that to life. I remember sitting in the mayor's office early on when we were just putting our arms around what bourbonism was. And I think that he really, as a mayor, supported the whole concept. And from there it blossomed. We've really just started. Even though we're over 200 years old, I think that we are really impacting our tourism community with it. And people are understanding the success and also the economic value and how it drives jobs and drives our community together. So I think we've just begun. When we raise a glass to the tourists, we also raise our economy. Cheers.
All right, so bourbonism, 4 key ingredients: bourbon, hospitality, distillery experiences, and local food. It's now a global attraction and will drive our hospitality industry for years to come, along with nationally known festivals like World Fest, Jack-O-Lantern Spectacular, and of course, Bourbon and Beyond. Also, Louisville is now known as a great soccer city, with Lou City FC and Racing Louisville FC, the professional teams based at the beautiful Lynn Family Stadium, which last year hosted both the NWSL Championship and the Women's Cup, a premier international sports event. Now, I was determined to do everything needed to bring pro soccer here as the biggest sport in the world and, in the process, dramatically improve the city's front door. Remember, Frank, that hideous view along I-64 of the brownfield filled with rusting storage tanks and junk cars? We resolved to transform that embarrassing space into something spectacular. And with the leadership of the great ownership group of Louisville Soccer Holdings, my team, and countless others, our city has created a burgeoning soccer district and was recently named one of Wallet Hub's best soccer cities in America. Yeah. And a little breaking news, the Women's Cup International Tournament is coming back this August. Now, over the past 11 years, we've also made policy and program changes to lift up our people. We celebrated those who put their lives on the line by bringing back the Veterans Day Parade, establishing the Week of Valor, and becoming among the first cities to meet President Obama's challenge to end veterans' homelessness. We've had a huge turnaround at Metro Animal Services, transforming an outdated facility with an abysmal 68% live release rate into a modern facility with a live release rate of 95%. We've cemented our reputation. There we go, our furry friend fans here. We've cemented our reputation as the leader in the country's aging and health innovation industry, and now have more companies in this space than anywhere else in the nation. And as the home of the UPS Air Hub, and with an intentional emphasis on logistics, we now have the 5th busiest cargo airport in the world, which played a really critical role in vaccination distribution. From the start of my administration, and inspired by my mom, we created a framework for our city value of compassion. And each year, Give a Day has brought more volunteers and more acts of compassion. Overall, Give a Day has meant an astounding 1.3 million acts of compassion here in our city.
Take the kids. It's people helping each other. It's people lifting each other up. It's people caring about each other. And that's what Give a Day is all about.
This shows that it's not just one organization, but it takes every organization, the entire team to come together, the different businesses who have donated the materials for us. So it truly is an act of the whole community.
Hi, I'm Jasmine, and my son's name is Jayzon Evans. He attends Maupin Elementary. I heard about Build-A-Bed actually through the school and the staff. I thought it was a great idea because it was during the pandemic and we had just moved into our apartment. We needed the help at the time. And it made me feel great to know that there was someone out there that cared. Well, I reached out to one of the staff members at Maupin. Actually, Mr. Custis brought it over. He slept so good on that new bed. If the mayor was here right now, I would tell him, thank you for giving a day to the community because everyone needs that.
Just help each other out. It's not that complicated. We've had 40 different cities benchmark Give a Day and what we're doing in our city. That's what's innate with people. They want to do that. They want to help each other. It sends a signal to the rest of the world that something special is happening here. And we want that something special to happen in every city in the country.
Thank you, Janice, and thank you to Brenda Frank also. This commitment to compassion led to the historic 2013 visit by His Holiness the Dalai Lama and a remarkable partnership that continues. We've been blessed with many partners who inspire, challenge, and energize us, and no one has done more of that than the champ. Muhammad Ali was born and raised in the Parkland neighborhood before he became the three-time heavyweight champ of the world, civil rights and religious freedom advocate, global humanitarian, and United Nations messenger of peace.
Hello to all my friends in Louisville, Kentucky. Joe Martin, Fred Stoner, all of my friends in Louisville, Kentucky, where I started. I'm recognized all over the world now, but my greatness came and started in Louisville, Kentucky. And that's one of the greatest cities in America, Louisville, Kentucky. And I predict that Louisville, Kentucky will have another world champion because Louisville is the greatest. Louisville is the greatest.
Louisville's the greatest. We love the champ. We love that. Now, the week of his funeral, my staff, the Ali Center, welcome Marilyn Jackson, and countless Louisvillians responded by paying tribute to Ali's immeasurable accomplishments. We were determined to send him off with the dignity and the class that he deserved. So with the eyes of the world upon us, an extraordinary week-long outpouring of love and joy celebrated his life and his legacy and made me so deeply grateful to be your mayor. Knowing that his story will motivate countless generations, we created a film about that week, The City of Ali. Thank you, Graham, and thank you, Reagan, which just premiered on PBS and inspired a curriculum for school children. And so that everybody who lands in Louisville, the greatest city of all time, is inspired by Muhammad, we renamed our airport after the greatest of all time. Now, the champ would be proud of the work that we have undertaken to lift up every Louisvillian. That includes 20,000 more Louisvillians living above the poverty line, plus 20,000 families have now worked their way into the middle class. Our foreign-born population has increased by 40% since 2010. They're achievers with higher rates of graduate and professional degrees and entrepreneurship. And this dynamic community is absolutely essential for Louisville to prosper economically and culturally. For Metro families, our employees, we partnered with Metro Council to begin providing 12 weeks of paid parental leave for city employees who are new moms and new dads. So out of many, one Louisville, one family, 100%, 7 years in a row. That's the perfect score we've received from the Human Rights Campaign for our work for and with the LGBTQ community. We've done all this work and so much more thanks to the work of community partners. All of y'all should feel this success. I want to thank the Metro Council for their partnership. And I want to thank my incredible and tireless team at Metro Government, led by the incomparable Deputy Mayor, Ellen Hessen. Our team has given its heart and its soul to our city and her people. They've done this by focusing on citizens and delivering excellent services, applying data to improve and innovate, doggedly addressing inequities, growing our economy, and fearlessly and without hesitation, acknowledging and addressing performance weaknesses. Louisville has one of the most celebrated city governments in the nation, and the team's hard work was a big part of why I was elected by the nation's mayors to lead the United States Conference of Mayors during one of the most difficult times for cities in recent history. It's also why last year Louisville was named one of only 2 cities to ever achieve the coveted What Works Cities Platinum recognition, the standard for data-based decisions and operational excellence. Thank you, Grace and team. And quite simply, no mayor could ask for a stronger, smarter, more compassionate team than the chiefs, the directors, and staff at Metro Government. You have my never-ending appreciation. And a special shout out for our public safety teams, police, fire, corrections, EMS, and EMA. So for all those Metro employees watching, and for those here, please stand so we can recognize you all. Please stand, if you're a Metro employee. Thank you all. So it's obvious I'm proud and grateful for what has been accomplished since I became your mayor. But I also say mayors are in the reality business. So there are always challenges to face. That's the reality of it. A stubborn pandemic that's taken too many lives. A level of gun violence that's unacceptable here and all across our nation. A necessary reimagining of public safety, and too many people still left out of opportunities by centuries of systemic racism. And so, we fight on. We start by tackling public safety challenges. Recognizing that police cannot arrest our way to a safer city, we created a whole-of-government approach. And our 6-pillar strategy includes programs to intervene and prevent violence, aided by a quadrupling of funding approved by the Metro Council. Increased incentives and salaries to attract and retain employees for public safety agencies, which are seeing shortages locally and nationwide. And we know that critical to our residents being safe is having trust in law enforcement. And that's why we undertook an independent, top-to-bottom review of our police department after the 2020 civil unrest, resulting in over 100 recommendations currently being implemented. It's why we hired a new reform-minded police chief in Erica Shields. It's why we instituted a civilian review and accountability board and hired our first inspector general to ensure greater police oversight. And we're working closely with the Department of Justice to identify and implement best practices for accountability and community trust. Policing. It's at a critical inflection point, locally and all throughout our country. Our police officers perform an incredibly difficult job, not one that many want to sign up for. And for their work under the most challenging and grueling circumstances, especially these past 2 years, thank you again for your devotion to our city. Now, great teams, they can appreciate each other, but they can also recognize that there's unfinished business. Our nation cannot ignore a history of sometimes unconstitutional, unequal policing with disproportionate impact on communities of color. That history and the tragic, unacceptable deaths of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and our own Breonna Taylor underline the urgent need for improvement and reform. And so did those who turned out in 2020 to protest racial injustice. For me, I felt immense grief over the loss of life and frustration that my lifelong commitments to compassion and racial equity had come up short. But I'm grateful to those protesters, change agents that fueled action here in our city. They were right to demand more, demand better, demand faster. And I'm grateful to be part of a community that holds its leader accountable to the idea of a beautiful human value like compassion. Tragically, we cannot bring Breonna Taylor back, but in the wake of her death, the protests and the introspections they caused accelerated our action and work and made our city stronger. Work to create justice, it will never be complete, but we must honor the pain of 2020 by creating a more just Louisville, and in so doing, become a model for all of America. It's certainly an understatement to say that COVID has been a challenge, but when it struck in 2020, I had confidence in our public health team and our residents to beat back the pandemic with every resource that we had, and we have. Our public health team launched LUVAX with over 1,000 volunteers, spread knowledge about the dastardly virus throughout the community, and vaccines and testing are now readily available everywhere. Today, 74% of us, about 560,000 people, have received at least the first dose of the vaccine. 64% are fully vaccinated. My deep appreciation goes to our COVID vaccine task force, co-chaired by Bill Altman, a great citizen who stepped up and simply asked when the pandemic started, "How can I help?" I'm grateful for his service and that of the entire task force and our public health team. Good work. Now, we've learned to remain humble to this virus, but data indicates that better days are certainly ahead. Now, data also shows the incredible economic momentum recovering from the pandemic recession. We've recovered 99.5% of the jobs lost before the pandemic, and that compares to a national recovery of 85%. Extraordinary outperformance. Our unemployment rate is currently at 3%, lower than when COVID hit, and nearly a full point lower than the national rate. Since I took office, Louisville has added more than 80,000 private sector jobs. Our wage growth, adjusted for the cost of living, increased 13%. And we just had a record January for economic development, adding almost 800 jobs and $170 million in new investment. So our collective work's paying off, and our continued efforts keep us moving forward together. Now look, it's obvious city government's going to continue long after me, but you have my commitment that I will be running through the finish line in this, my final year in office. As the champ said, don't count the days, make the days count. We will make each of the remaining days count. In the coming months alone, more Louisvillians will return to the office to work, pumping more dollars into our small businesses, and adding even more vibrancy to streets and neighborhoods. Downtown businesses are growing with 30 retail openings in 2021 compared to 17 closings. We'll launch a universal basic income pilot to counter poverty and promote financial stability and opportunity. We will open the new safe outdoor space to further address homelessness. We'll join a digital inclusion program that distributes refurbished laptops and tablets to close the digital divide. We will launch a program to increase the use of solar installations to expand our sustainability efforts. Kids and officers will be enjoying the new Police Activities League to create an environment of trust and respect. We're expanding Lean Into Louisville with courageous conversations on discrimination and hate to unify our city around fairness, opportunity, and compassion. $400 million in federal American Rescue Plan funding will spur catalytic projects in housing, public safety, workforce, small business, public health, and stronger neighborhoods. And we stand ready to receive or compete for hundreds of millions of dollars from the new federal infrastructure law for roads, bridges, water and sewer systems, high-speed internet, and electric vehicle infrastructure. I leave every state of the city excited about the incredible work ahead of us, none more so than this here in my final year. Cities are living, growing families, which means simply the work is never finished. My team and our residents have been resolute in creating a better Louisville. Our city has undergone significant change from when my administration started 11 years ago. And I am very pleased to report that the state of our city is very strong. Together, we have achieved remarkable accomplishments in the face of daunting odds, and we have laid the foundation for even more dramatic progress in every Louisville neighborhood for every Louisville family. Headlines and events show that America is in a time of tumult, torn by tribalism, suspicion, and distrust of the other, consumers and spreaders of misinformation. And those headlines have some truth. But that does not have to be our destiny, and it will not be. We will choose unity, compassion, and family. This will be our path. And as the three-term mayor of the greatest city in the world, one with a bit more gray hair, I have seen that magic happens when we work collectively, when we offer grace, empathy, and love, when we work selflessly to spread joy without concern for personal credit. 96 years ago, Black historian Carter G. Woodson, son of former slaves and a graduate of Berea College, created Negro History Week, the precursor to Black History Month, which we celebrate this month. Woodson was not just a historian, but a determined activist for the equality of Black Americans. In his efforts to combat racist businesses, he urged others to banish fear, saying, "I'm ready to act if I can find brave men to help me." I look around this room and I see brave men and I see brave women. I look all over our city and see Louisvillians who stand up in the face of fear and work tirelessly with hope and belief in a better tomorrow. Everywhere I look, I see partners in the progress that we have made. So, commit to being brave. Seize this moment in our history with vigor and determination. One family fighting for a better future together. One city, Louisville, our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Fischer helped Rotary in September launch Rotary International's newest plank, which is now saving the world's waterways with our inaugural service cruise along the Ohio and Mississippi rivers. We'd like to present him with a gift from Rotary, acknowledging that inaugural cruise by artist Herb Bradshaw. Herb, come on up. Herb is a veteran, and he does art from discarded soda cans. So,
Oh, yeah, great. That's beautiful. Good to see you again, too.
our theme was saving our rivers.
Well, thanks, Rotary, so much for hosting us every year like this, and it's just wonderful to get together with the entire community. It's fitting that this is a gift that's related to water, because I have a gift for one person at each table related to water on your table. So each table has a bottle of Old Forester, generously donated by Brown-Forman. Thank you, Chris Pointer and the Brown-Forman team. Now, the question is, who gets this bottle of bourbon? So whoever has the birthday closest to today gets to take that fine spirit home with you to celebrate your role in making our great Louisville family even greater. So cheers, everybody.
I'd now like to bring our performers from the Kentucky Opera back to the stage, Marquita Richardson and Johanna Kaboom.
He's got the whole world in his hand. 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 He's got the woods and the waters in his hand. He's got the woods and the waters in his hand. He's got the sun and the moon right in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the birds and the bees right in his hand. He's got the birds and the bees right in his hand. He's got the beast of the field right in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got you and me right in his hand. He's got you and me right in his hand. He's got everybody in his hand. He's got the world in
Thank you all for coming. This meeting is adjourned.